Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Stay.
And I'm Steve Stay.
And this is Coloring Bliss, and we're here today to celebrate Steve's birthday week. Happy birthday!
Thank you.
And what better way to celebrate a birthday than to color a birthday cake? 0 calories, 100% creative fun. So I have a question for you. If I were to bake you a cake, which I probably won't, I'll buy one. But if I were to bake you one, what flavor would you have me do?
I think you know what flavor I'd want.
I know, but they don't know. Chocolate. So what we're going to do today is I have a free download for you of a happy birthday coloring page with a very simple cake on it. So we're going to color this cake a chocolate cake with a blue frosting.
Nice.
Because he loves blue, and we're doing it in honor of his birthday, but the main purpose is to teach you how to do some quick and simple coloring that looks really good and effective. So come and follow the link in the video description, download this coloring page, and color along with me. You can do other variations, of course. Strawberry cake is what I would probably pick. With purple frosting is what I would pick.
Probably.
But we're here to celebrate him, so I would just want to say thank you for everything you do for Coloring Bliss, and for me, and for little Rose. You're amazing, and I'm grateful that we can celebrate you today.
Thank you.
So let's start coloring a simple birthday cake. To get started, I'm going to tell you what supplies I'm going to use. Basically, 2 main things: a set of alcohol markers and a set of color pencils. You can use any alcohol markers you have, even Sharpies will work for this, and you can use any color pencils you have. Today I'm just going to use sort of the humble Prismacolor Scholar pencils because I've been really enjoying working with them. So I have that set right here. I've got my printout. I printed it on colored pencil paper, which has a little bit of a texture so that the color pencils can grip onto it, and it won't hurt the alcohol markers that we're going to use, because I'm just going to use a very inexpensive set of OHUHU Brush tip markers. So like I said, you can use any alcohol markers you want, the fancy Copics or the humble Sharpie or something like this, which is somewhere in between, right, Steve?
Yeah.
The OHUHU brush markers. So let's start by making the chocolate part of the chocolate cake. This is the page we're going to color. It's got some really fun ribbons and confetti and some fun bubble lettering across the top. By the way, stay tuned, because in the future I'm going to teach you how to draw your own and color your own bubble lettering. So make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so that you will be notified when I do the bubble lettering little workshop I'm going to do.
You know, that would be a good birthday gift they could give me.
What's that?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. How kind.
Just take a moment and go down and subscribe.
That's right. And think,
And then
happy
click the
birthday,
bell.
Steve.
Yes, that would mean so much to me.
Okay, there you have it. There's your birthday gift for Steve. So what I'm going to do first with this coloring page, back on track, is we're going to do something called a base layer. I teach this a lot in our workshops at our website, and a base layer is sort of like a shortcut, especially with color pencils, because they are a slow coloring medium, where alcohol markers are a very fast coloring medium. Now, the other good thing about alcohol markers versus, say, a water-based marker like a Tombow or any of the water-based markers, like even Crayola, is that when you color with an alcohol marker, the liquid ink goes down and dries really fast. So it almost doesn't even affect the paper itself. If you've ever colored with a water-based marker like the Tombows or, like I said, Crayolas, you know that the more you color, the more water goes into that paper, and the more those fibers will swell up and the paper starts to disintegrate and pill up. So with alcohol markers, we don't have that problem because the base is alcohol, so it dries really fast, but it still leaves behind beautiful color. So For the cake part, this part right here and here, we're going to do chocolate because he wouldn't want anything other than 2 chocolate layers. Let's let's say it how it is. He loves chocolate cake. So we've got a bunch of colors to pick from, and what I want is the lightest brown this set has. So I'm looking, it might be this one here. It could be potato brown. We've got to see what that looks like. Maybe dark yellow. I don't think this raw umber, but we'll go ahead and swatch it and see what it looks like. I'm going to grab a piece of the same paper that we're working on so that I can see what it looks like on this paper, and we're going to choose the lightest of these because it's going to be our base layer, and then we're going to build shadows and dimension on top of it. So we've got this one, which is potato brown, which, you got to try it because of the name. So that's potato brown. And if you ever swatch like this on a scratch piece of paper, remember to make some sort of note of what color you're trying because you think you're going to be able to keep track, but 9 times out of 10, I can't keep track and remember which one was which. Okay, so that's the code for potato brown. All right, let's see. I don't think that's the one we're going to use, but I don't know. Here is, that's a good one too. This is rose beige, BR3. And let's see what this one looks like. Whoa, that's way too dark for a base layer. Can you imagine trying to build on top of that?
Yeah.
You would not have enough contrast in your shadows. We need something lighter than that. So that's BR1, raw umber. And then our final contestant for chocolate cake goodness. Oh, is this one. This is dark yellow, YR1. Now, happy birthday, boy. Which one looks more like chocolate to you?
Oh, no, but we're talking base layer though.
Base layer.
Because BR1 looks most like chocolate, but
yes,
but it's too dark.
Yes.
I like that YR1.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it kind of looks cakey, and we can build some browns on top so that it will look even more like chocolate cake. And it's a good mid to light tone, so we can build a lot of darks and maybe even some lights on it if we wanted to try that. So let's go for YR1. So first step, you're going to need to do the same thing. Pick an alcohol marker that is a good base layer, not too dark, even not too light either, because chocolate cake is pretty dark. And then what we're going to do is some simple flood coloring. We're going to flood the whole area here and here with our markers. I'm going to use a combination of the brush nib and, well, the brush nib will be good for in these little details, and then the big chisel nib will be good for these big areas. And the trick for coloring with alcohol markers, slow and steady will keep the streaks away. Hey, that should be a quote on a pillow. Slow and steady keeps the streaks away.
Right.
Okay, so let's do our first coloring. Now, as you can see, I'm just using the dark yellow marker and flooding the whole area, but we have a couple issues that have happened. There are some streaks, and some of the dark yellow has gotten up into the area where I want the blue. So we're going to go over the entire chocolate cake part a second time to help push that ink down into the fibers of the paper and get rid of those streaks. And to get rid of those mistakes I made, I've got a trick to show you. We've got the chocolate all laid down, and like I said, we've got some mistakes here. I also wanted to point out that how dark our dark yellow went as we put in that second layer of ink. So you need to remember that with alcohol markers, the more layers you lay down, the more saturated or intense that color will become, and it often plays off as being dark. See, that's our yellow that Steve picked right here, and you can see how much darker it is here. Looks much more like chocolate, so that's good. It's going to make our job a lot easier, and I'm glad we picked this one and not that one. Okay, to fix my little oopses, let me bring it up and show you all the oopses I make. And this is one of the reasons why in the beginning of my coloring life, I didn't like alcohol markers, because they felt so unforgiving when you make a mistake like this. But I know we're going to be doing blue up here so we can hide some of it. But where I really got across the line like this, we're going to use a colorless blender. Now, almost every set of alcohol markers comes with a colorless blender, but surprise, surprise, this little one right here didn't come with one. So I'm just going to grab my Blick Studio colorless blender. I could use a Copic one, I could use a Prismacolor one, it doesn't really matter. They're all relatively the same. So I'm going to use my chisel nib, and let me change views here so you can see what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in with my colorless blender to push that ink that direction. So I want to flood this side with the colorless blender ink. Okay, let that sit and soak into the fibers, and it pushes the colors that direction. Do it there too. And over here, I'll get a little love. So this is going to do two things. It kind of pushes the ink and it kind of bleaches the ink. So it won't be quite as strong of a color, so I can hide it easier with my blue frosting. Fix a couple more little spots here. Making little mistakes like this is normal and everybody does it, and that's why they have created tricks like this to help you fix the issue. Look how much lighter this one is looking now, and I'm going to hit it one more time and then let it dry. It's always good to remember that alcohol markers, even though they dry fast, they don't dry as fast as you think, and so you want to give it time to soak in, do its job before we come on with the blue. So while that's drying, we're going to pick the blue color for the frosting. So I'm going to grab a couple blues. Same theory here, the lighter the blue, the better, because we can build on top of it. So I'll pick a couple, and then we'll have Steve come over and pick which one he wants for his frosting. This is the first one. It's called Pastel Blue PB7. That's pretty. And then we have Sky Blue, and it's PB1. Ooh, very different blue. Be interesting to see what the birthday boy picks. This one is PB9 Cloud Blue. Hey Steve, you want to come over and pick the frosting for your birthday cake?
Okay.
PB9. I think I know which one he'll choose, but we'll see if I am right. Look away, Steve. I'm going to point to the one that I think he's going to choose. Okay, now let's see if I'm right. Which one do you want for the base layer of your blue frosting?
The base layer?
Yes, we'll build on top of it.
Oh, PB7.
Really?
Because I know you like a lighter base layer.
Yeah.
So pick the lightest one. PB1 is what I would pick for the color.
Haha, I was right. That's the one I said you would pick. So I like your theory, though, that we'll start with PB7 and build on top of it. So I'm going to do the same thing. You can see here that my little mistakes are much less noticeable, and I'll be able to hide them really easy now with the frosting. So let's time lapse, and I'll fill in all the frosting the same way I did the chocolate cake. I'm going to go ahead and start working on the candles as well, so that they all have a nice base layer down too. I'm thinking 2 colors of blue for the candles. A nice 2-tone blue stripe would be fun. And I'm also going to pick out a nice bright light yellow for the flame, so that we can add some dimension to that later as well. All right, these candle flames up here are going to be a great place to add a little bling, probably some gold gel pen or something. So I want to kind of repeat that color down below to give some good cohesive feeling to the whole page. So I'm going to take and just color this in with the yellow that I picked, which I picked a nice warm yellow. because it'll match the yellowish brown color of the chocolate cake, and it feels more warm like a flame. Okay, we've got all the base layers done. Now we get to pick some pencils to do our coloring with. Let's start with the chocolate cake again. We've got our sample right here of what color we used, but it went darker when we did a second layer. So I'm going to go ahead and put the second layer on top of it like that, so we can see that that's really the color we're working with right there. What I need is a nice dark brown to go with it. I've got a few choices here. These are more cool browns. They have more like blue undertones here. These are warmer browns over here. They've got more red in the undertone. This one right here is pretty neutral. And this one is a little yellow in it as well. Let's see if I've got any other colors. I've got some grays we could pull from and black as well to help with the shadows. So that's my first pencil I want to try to find, is something that I think is darker and can create shadows. So here you can see, let me change views so you can see it really well. I've taken this one, which is Sienna number 345 right here, and sampled it and thought it looked pretty good until I came over here on top of our color that we actually colored down, and it disappears. So this color is not going to give us enough contrast, so I'll put it back. And then we have this one here, which is Raw Umber number 341. And that's much better. That's giving us a bit of a shadow color, but not too crazy. And I don't know if they have a good light tone here in this set of Prismacolor Scholars. So we may have to go to gray to add our light on top. That's not too bad if we mix it in here. That might work. That's a nice warm gray. Pale warm gray it's called. So I think that might work, although it's looking pretty white right now. Let's try a yellow. This is cream color. Oh, I like that much better than the gray. That feels like it belongs here, where this one feels too cool. So I like that. Okay, I'm going to put that gray back now that we've made our choice, and I am going to grab a black color pencil, and I'm also going to grab a white. Okay, so I think with these four colors here, we'll be able to add some shading to our birthday cake. So let's talk about where I'm going to put this shading. I'm going to use the shading in two ways. I want to make it feel three-dimensional, and I want the cake to feel like it has some texture. You know, when you slice into a piece of chocolate cake and there's all those little air pockets that give that cake that beautiful texture. That's what I want to create with my dark colors. So I'm going to use a combination of the black pencil and the raw umber to create the three-dimensional look, especially under the frosting, and I'll use those same two pencils to create the little textures. And I'm also going to throw in a bit of the cream color too to help with bright moments in those textures. I'm creating little half circles using my dark brown color pencil, the raw umber. And that part of the half circle goes towards the bottom, and then towards the top of each of those half circles I'm creating another half circle using my cream. So it'll end up having some dimension. The top of the little texture is lighter, the bottom is darker. The chocolate cake part is looking really good. I may take my pencil here and just add a few dots here and there to add that texture in even more, just in like 2s and 3 little dots clustered together, and that will give it even more texture and make it feel more alive. The great thing about doing a base layer with the alcohol marker is that now we get to spend our time and energy on little details rather than all of our time and energy just getting the color down that we wanted. Okay, that's looking good. Let's move on to the frosting now. Set these aside, although I'll probably still need the black and the white. We're going to use white for highlights. So I need some blues, 2 blues actually, 2 dark blues, 1 for each of these. I put stars next to the ones that I am using so I don't forget. So this is a nice dark blue violet color right here. I bet that will look really good with this one. Yeah, I like that. And then we need just a dark blue. So maybe this Copenhagen blue. Ooh, we've got another dark blue here too that might work for this one. Yeah, that's good. And then this one here is called indigo blue, and I think it'll work with both. So we have 3, a really dark, and then we have Copenhagen blue to go with our PB7, and we have porcelain blue to go with our other color on our candles. So I'm going to set this one aside so I don't accidentally use it. We're going to stick with these 2. Now, do we have a good light blue in this set? Looks like we have 2 options. This one here and this one here. Let's see which one shows up. It doesn't show up really on either one as a lighter version. So nope, we're going to use white for our light. That's what happens when you have a small set of color pencils. Sometimes you have to do something tricky like use white mixed in with the blues to get the highlights. All right, so the same idea goes here for the frosting. I want to have a nice 3-dimensional glossy frosting look. So if we assume our light is coming from the top, then that means the top of our frosting needs to be the nice light color. And then down here in the swoops, we can add some more dimension with our shadows to create a nice 3-dimensional, juicy, beautiful, glossy frosting. I ended up also grabbing Sky Blue 319, which is almost an exact dupe for that PB7 blue marker that we used for the base layer on the frosting. So I'm using that to help smooth the transition between the Copenhagen Blue 306 and the Indigo Blue 301, giving it a nice curved feeling to those loopy parts of the frosting. Ooh, I love a good frosting. Now to make the top of the blue frosting look nice and shiny, we're going to start with Prismacolor Scholar White number 338 and lay down a pretty heavy base of it along the top and then transition to lighter pressure as it moves down. And then I can also come in with my Sky Blue 319 to smooth out that transition between the blue and the white. Now this isn't a super opaque white, so we're just going to get a tinting effect where it makes the blue below look lighter, which is exactly what we want for now because we're going to add more white highlights later. This is looking really good. It needs some really strong white highlights, but we'll do that here in a minute. What I want to do now is work on the candles to make them look 3-dimensional. So I'll be using a combination of all of these blues and the white, and we're going to just create a 3-dimensional curve. So up this side and this side is going to get a shadow, and then we may add a little bit of the white down the center as a place for where the light would hit and it would have a highlight at the high point. Okay, let's add some shadows. Almost 90, well, it is 90 degrees outside and we have the AC going, but it can get warm in here under the lights. So letting Rose have some water. We call it her pretty princess water, huh, Steve?
Yep.
Yeah, because we serve it to you in a bowl, huh? Do you want a treat now too? Yeah? All right. You're being a really good girl staying with Mom. There you go. Oh, you don't want it after all. Well, you think about it. All right, back to coloring. I'm going to use 3 yellow-orangey colors. One is called Orange 318, one is called Yellow Ochre 342, and again with the cream 314. These are the 3 colors I'm going to use to add dimension to our flame. But don't forget, we're also going to add some bling. I love how the candles look all warm and flickery now, but we're going to add some actual glitter so it'll catch the light when it's moved. The one I'm going to use for this is the Pentel Sparkle Pop Gold color. I love the Pentel Sparkle Pop pens. They are awesome. One of my favorites. And it's sort of a hybrid. It's a bit of a metallic, but it's also glitter, so we get a nice payoff of shine and reflection with that metallic. So let me show you what this is going to do. It can sometimes be a little tricky to put gel pen on top of color pencil because it's waxy. But what I'm going to do is color in the tip and then with my finger drag the still wet ink down across the rest of the flame. So the majority of the glitter will be right at the tip. Now there are so many more details and things that we could add at this point, but I want to keep this the way it was intended, which is a relatively simple birthday cake. We've added some fun details in the cake itself and with the shading. But if we keep going, it's going to become a complicated cake rather than an easy cake. Now I'm going to take the same pen here and just flood the whole thing with this ink. And then to save on some of the ink, let me show you what we're going to do. Change the view here for you. Is while it's still wet, pull it with my finger out a little bit. And then that way the ink will go farther. I'll scribble color it down, use my finger to smooth it out, and pull out that color across the whole cake plate. Then it'll match the flames and make a very cohesive feel to my piece of art. Next up is our bright white highlights, and for that I'm diving into my special bag here where I keep all things white. I've got white gel pens, lots of those, and I have white paint pens. And I have really opaque white color pencils in here. Now we have several videos here on our channel where we show you all about all of our choices with which is the best, most opaque white pencil and which one is the best white gel pen. So check out those 2 videos. Now what I'm not finding in here, which is what I was looking for, is my Posca paint pen. So let me go check and see where I put that. Well, for some reason I've misplaced my white Posca paint pen, so we're going to try to make these other options, which we have lots of good options here. Try to get those to work. So I have 2 that I'm going to pull from. I've got that guy right here. This is the Phano China marker in white. It's number 92, and it's a very special, unique pencil that works really good for highlights. And then I've got my Sakura Jelly Roll white gel pen as well. So let's start with this one and see how it does. I'm going to add extra white highlights to very specific spots. One right there. And the idea is to make the frosting look glossy. So we'll have 2 highlights like that, and then a smaller one over here. And Rose is getting warmer and warmer. And then we're going to add some white highlights just here and there. And if you're like me, you tend to overdo white highlights. So I try to hold myself back, but it doesn't always work. Yeah, Rose and I need to go get cooled off. A couple little white highlights along the top, as if the light is grabbing it. Okay, I think that's looking more glossy. Okay, that's better. Now we're going to use the Jelly Roll pen and put a extra white line, if I can get it to go on top of this. Let me make sure it's flowing good. So we're going right over top a bunch of gel pen. No, I'm using gel pen right on top of color pencils. Sometimes I have a hard time talking when I'm doing art at the same time. But I just want to make that highlight a little brighter down the center of our candles. And if the tip of your pen starts to get filled with color pencil, you just scribble out on your scratch piece of paper and that will clean it off. Okay, that looks better. Then I'm going to use it to just add a few dots here and there. It'll make it look more cartoony having the dots, but it'll also make it look more shiny. So if you don't want like a cartoon type feel, then you could skip these highlights. All right, that's looking good. A few more here and there because I always overdo it. And we're going to leave the candle flames alone because they have the glitter on them, and I think I'm going to declare this birthday cake done. Let's have Steve, the birthday boy, come over and see what he thinks. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I
What
like
do you
it.
think? I'll move it in the light so you can see
Yeah, you
the
gotta have the-
flames.
Oh, that's cool.
And the cake plate has some shine.
Yeah, I like that.
And I used both blues in the candles.
Very nice.
Because we know you like that, huh, Rose? Yeah. Let me show you straight on this way. Sometimes you'll get another view of the shinies when I do it this way. Just so you know, real-time coloring, this took me about an hour. Are we getting any shine? Oh,
You gotta turn it
there.
more towards the light.
Up, oh, there, up and down. So this took about 1 hour real-time coloring to do this, and if I hadn't added the texture into the chocolate cake, I probably would have been done a little faster than that. But I love the combination. It's a mixed media trick of using the alcohol markers as a base layer, color pencils on top, and then gel pens for the bling. Wish I'd had my white Posca paint pen because I think the white highlights would have stood out a little better. But you make do with what you have. That's what makes a good artist. So always remember that. Just because you don't have the same colors or the same tools as me doesn't matter. Make do with what you have and it's going to be fantastic. I also want to mention that if you want more help with coloring, do you want to know how to color with alcohol markers, color pencils, gel pens, paints? I've got all kinds of workshops waiting for you over at Coloring Bliss. So follow the link in the video description to come and see what I have there to teach you so that you can become an even better colorist. Well, happy birthday, Steve.
Thank you.
This is probably the most cake I'll actually make for you, so I hope you'll enjoy it.
Okay.
We'll just go buy you a store-bought one. Thanks everyone for joining me. Happy birthday, Steve.
Remember to subscribe to wish me a happy birthday.
That's right. Subscribe for his present. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful, colorful, blissful day. Bye-bye, everyone.